All right. So our next review of the day is going to be for the film Backrooms. Backrooms is a movie directed by Kane Parsons there. Kane Parsons, who's just 20 years old there, who's also another YouTuber there. These YouTubers, man, they coming out the woodworks, man. They're making all these movies, man. Horror movies, especially. Chris Stuckman, Markiplier there, the Philippou brothers. We just had one coming that came out just this year that is sweeping the theaters right now. Obsession was Curry Barker there. Very good there, man. And this is another long line of them. And this is also doing pretty well in the box office as well. They're Backrooms.
It's breaking some serious records.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that in a moment there with this, but yeah, this Backrooms here. So like I said, directorial debut of Kane Parsons there, who this movie was written by Will Sodick there, and this is so it started off as like a web series there that Parsons created, from my understanding, and then you actually have watched all the web series there of this that this is based on there.
Yeah, and it does maintain continuity. Like if you go watch all those web series episodes and then watch the movie, like it feeds directly into sort of the larger lore. That being said, I don't think you need to have seen those. I think it can make it a more rewarding experience, but it's not like necessary to understand what's happening in the film either.
I definitely appreciated having seen the shorts when I watched the movie, I will say.
Yeah. So it's kind of like it was kind of like a creepy pasta type thing, which is kind of like a folk horror story that gets spread through the internet or something like that. That's kind of like what a creepy pasta
yeah, well, the very original thing of this, it was in 2019. It was literally an anonymous 4chan post, and it was just a photo of this, what this environment looks like. Recently it was actually tracked down to that it actually was from a furniture store in Wisconsin that the original photo comes from. So there's a little bit of a, kind of play on that in the film. And then, someone had the photo and then a completely different person posted this like short description, which, it's very much a video game term, no clip, right? It's sort of like when you like glitch out of the world and like fall onto the map. But this little descriptive post just said like, if you no clip out of reality in the right spot, you could end up in the back rooms. And it, if you make too much noise and something hears you, watch out. And it's, it's just this very, very brief little description. And then, Backrooms it's a weird thing because it's public domain. So there's all these versions of it. I mean, people like make these custom games and things like Roblox, and there's all these Steam games, and there's like a fan wiki of like lore about like, there's 100 levels and this is what every single environment is. And these are the different creatures in all of them. And none of that matters really as far as what Kane Parsons' take on this is. Those shorts and then this movie so far, that's the only thing that counts as far as what his take on these things is. But that's, I think, what could be maybe confusing for some people is like, I think there's going to be, and there already is, there was in our screening that me and Ulysses, when we saw it together, there were kids in there that I guarantee wanted to see this movie because of the like fun, more kid-friendly Backrooms games that they have played in Roblox. And this is definitely a decidedly more, I don't think it's nearly as disturbing as some horror films. It's not like actively gory necessarily in the same way. But I do think that this is a decidedly more psychologically disturbing sort of exploration of this idea. Then I think some parents will have to be careful with that because their kids are going to be asking to go, I think, not realizing exactly what this really is.
Yeah, it's a very sort of slower, more cerebral, and like say just a more disturbing sort of take on what is essentially a meme on the level of like a modern Slender Man.
And then did Kane Parsons, did he have any involvement in any of the games at all there? Or?
So as far as I know, he's not aware, and he was not involved in any of the games. Those are all sort of their own things.
So this is the Complex Backrooms found footage. Yeah, this one. And have you played any of the games?
I have not. I've watched a few like Let's Plays, like stuff like Rage Select or Game Grumps have played a few of them. But if you watch any of those videos for very long, you will very quickly start to see how different they actually are. Like you get through a level and then you jump into another one, and it's like the smiley like creepypasta meme face on there. I do think that post this film, we are going to start to see some of these games get more sort of specific about the movie's lore too. Like yeah, stuff like that, like this environment here. This is some stuff that's in these games. I will say within the movie, there is a bit of a shout out to the pools environment,
Yeah.
which is not really in the shorts before this, but it's sort of him maybe paying homage to some of the larger community interpretation of backroom stuff.
I
Gotcha.
will say what's a little funny for me is I actually found out about Backrooms because I play a lot of like mods for like old school like Quake 1, and there was a whole series of sort of custom level packs that people had made for Quake 1 where it was stuff based very closely on the Backrooms, and there's one of those in particular that was almost like identical to what's shown in the shorts. Like I could point out like specific like sort of features of the landscape and the rooms and all that. And go, oh yeah, I remember that. So that's sort of how I came into it.
Well, just one last little thing to attach to that. In the first 5 minutes of this movie, they do literally have a shot that is exactly that original photo. Like in that very first like found footage tape that it opens on, there is a shot that is literally the original photo from 2019 recreated.
So in this movie here, you got Chiwetel Ejiofor there, who's a guy that owns a furniture store there. And in this furniture store, nobody comes to it. So I mean, it's pretty much barren. Like he's got no customers there. And he's a guy that is kind of going through a crisis right now. He's going through a separation that could be leading to a divorce there. He's seeing a therapist. That therapist is played by Renette Revize there, who people might see. She's been in a lot of really critically acclaimed films there. She was in Another End there. She was also in that movie I loved a lot last year with Skarsgård in it. I can't think of the name at the moment right now, but she was in that there. Sentimental Value. Yeah, Sentimental Value. That was the name of the movie. And she's really great. She's really amazing. Chiwetel was always really amazing there. And she plays this therapist there. And he's telling her that, in this furniture store there, he's having an issue with these lights. They're just he's in this high electricity bill. They're staying on there. And he ends up kind of stumbling into this pocket dimension there, this back room there. And he tells his therapist about it. It's like, I'm going to discover this place. I'm going to walk all the way through it there. And then in the aid of him that's trying to assist him in kind of investigating this place, discovering it there, trying to map it all out, he has these two workers with him there that work at the furniture store with him. One of who's his assistant store manager, and then one of whom I think is did he work at the store too, or was that just her boyfriend?
I actually think it was just her boyfriend, but he kept roping him into doing things.
Okay. The store manager is Kat there. He's played by Lucetta Maxwell. And then the boyfriend there is Bobby. He's played by Finn Bennett there. And I was actually looking at him. It's like, oh, I didn't recognize him at first. I looked at some of his credits. He was one of the Targaryens in House of the Dragon. He was like one of them. No, I'm sorry, not House of the Dragon. It was Egg, Duncan and Egg. That one.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Targaryens from that one. Yeah, so a lot of Targaryens, a lot of them in these shows. But yeah, so that's kind of the setup you have of this. And then this is a very much psychological thriller horror movie here, where you have it where it's this kind of creepy thing kind of going on more and more as you watch it. Stuff gets kind of revealed what's in this back rooms. What is it? It's not fully explained exactly, and I'll let you guys kind of discuss a little bit more, but it's not really fully explained kind of what all this is there. It's kind of a little bit still a mystery even at the end of the movie, and a little bit of ambiguous there of nature of the movie, which in some ways it depends on how they do it in the movie. Here I really liked it. Here I thought it worked and played really, really well with that. But yeah, go around and get you guys. Sage, what are your thoughts here on Backrooms? backrooms.
Well, to speak to what you were just saying as well, I think the ambiguity that it leaves, where it explains some things but not everything, to me, I think it really lands in a similar place as something like Silent Hill, or even like I think there's a lot of very similar feeling vibes here, as like the video game Control as well. Um, it's got, obviously, you got like some sort of corporate or government entity, and these sort of eldritch sort of spaces that don't seem to totally make sense. I think it's also interesting to note that I've seen Kane Parsons mention things like Half-Life and Portal as big inspirations to his work. So there's clearly a sort of video game effect on this, and I think that's cool because I feel like it's one of the first films I've really seen where we're starting to see. Obviously, there's video game adaptations, but like an original film where you're seeing someone who grew up in an era where video games were so prevalent, having absorbed so much of that, and then brought what he learned from those things into filmmaking. I just think that's an interesting sort of change in just approach to how to make a movie, that we haven't really maybe seen as much of before. But as far as the movie itself goes, though, I think it's an interesting thing to look at, because the only thing I think you can really compare this to, as far as sort of the internet meme creepypasta sort of idea, is there was that Slender Man movie. And somebody said this in another review I listened to, but if that Slender Man film that came out some years ago was sort of the kind of cynical, overly corporatized approach to an idea like this, where a studio takes it and just kind of does whatever they want with it and doesn't really seem to care whatever thing people actually like about this really is, and they just kind of want to make their generic film. This Backrooms movie, it feels like the opposite. It feels like oh no, we're gonna actually respect sort of what this is, what people like about it. We're going to take that again, let the person doing the independent creation of this come in and actually be behind the director chair for the full project, and just really let him do what he wants and believe in it. And I think it turned out really, really well. This movie is able to, I think, capture everything really that is cool about the short films, and yet what those don't do is tell a significant character-based narrative. And I think that's where I really sort of get a somewhat Silent Hill sort of feel or vibe off of this film, is that the way that it's actually able to tell like a strong character story and dive into like some pretty deep, complex psychological themes. It's almost to me shocking that a 20-year-old was even able to sort of go, and then tell a story about, here's someone who's middle-aged and struggling with a divorce and a dead-end job, and like, staring down the barrel of like the second half of their life without having had like any major, like those are the kinds of things that I just wouldn't expect a 20-year-old to think about. And I feel like it's kind of nails all of them.
I don't know. Maybe his parents went through a divorce. Maybe
that's possible.
Maybe he had two Christmases, man. Maybe he had that kind of going on. What about you, Ulysses? What do you think?
What do I think about the movie generally? Or so give me a minute here.
He's in the back room right now. He's trying to figure out.
He's got to make your way back. There's
so,
tape on a door.
What I think about this movie is I think it's big.
You're kind of breaking up there, Ulysses. Ulysses, you still there? Okay. Yeah.
Takes a lot of the.
Oh,
what was that?
Yeah, you cut out there for a minute.
Oh, what did I leave off on?
You were fixing your door.
Starting.
Yeah, so you just started there.
Oh, really? The whole that's fine. So, I'll start again. What I really love about this movie is that it is extremely creative in a way that you're just not going to see in something in a theater. There are very few things I've ever seen that are like this. And almost all of them have fittingly done some sort of thing that was more of an internet short. So you can sort of feel the bones of that sort of thing come through into a major motion picture. Very rare. And so it does things with its atmosphere, with its characters, with its like sort of its buildup of what this other place is, that you just will not see anywhere else. It was just kind of exciting, even though I have watched the shorts. I kind of knew where things were going with certain elements of the plot, certain things like sort of major organization that's involved in all this, which I do think is like kind of adds to the fun in a way if you have seen the shorts, because then you can focus entirely on sort of the atmosphere and the characters that the movie is building up to. But it's just sort of a critical mass of all these factors that create this really novel experience at a theater.
Okay. There's some like feedback happening with your thing, or so I think your mic maybe. That's kind of coming through.
That's annoying. It's always something.
But yeah, I mean, this movie, it's not a very long movie, which I think helps it. Because sometimes with these things, it's like with a movie like this, it's like, okay, is the payoff going to be worth it? All the build up, and then did I really sit through all that to really come to this conclusion? I think for me, I think it is worth it. I think it is there. I think it does work. I think it, in terms of being terrifying or scary there, I mean, I don't really get scared or really terrified when watching a horror movie really, or a thriller, anything like that. But I think it is effective at producing those kind of things there and playing with you there and waiting to see what really comes next there. And I think it really works there in that element, and playing with space, especially in this place. Like there's some moments in this back room where it seems like it's kind of more wide open, but then there's times where it just shrinks down and it's kind of this weird kind of MC kind of Escher type thing there. I think Troy Escher's character described it as like a construction worker made the place on acid or something like that, where you had that kind of happening. And there's something that's chasing these characters. You don't know what it is. And the way it kind of plays with kind of your the character's mental nature, and then eventually when the therapist character, when she eventually ends up getting there, I think it also that works as well there. And even though there's some characters there that don't really stay as long, I think they still provide great nature. And like you have, for example, what's his name, Mark Duplass there, who shows up, who has a small bit in here. Who he always plays, he always shows up in like weird indie stuff or smaller movies. There's somebody there doing some weird shit always, and he kind of provides a great kind of role there with that, which I thought really helped a lot. Again, in his role is kind of like what his function is kind of mysterious. You don't exactly know what he's doing. I think that worked a lot there. And then you see this movie do really well in the box office, and then you also see another movie like Obsession do really well. And in terms of horror, they're two really different things there. And that's more of like Obsession, not to diminish it, but more your traditional kind of horror movie, as opposed to this one. Why do you think that this one is also doing as well as something like Obsession there, Sage?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. One, I think you have a certain amount of people that are like, this is a following, like this, there's like a built-in audience that has been like genuinely kind of waiting with bated breath in between like one short film at a time every couple of months over the course of 4 years. And I'll say too, this movie has like legit like there's ideas that were sort of kind of confirmed about how the Backrooms work in this film that were hinted at, or fan theories about the shorts. And so there's sort of like a payoff happening here for people who've been following it for a long time. So there's that element of it. There's also the, like, I mentioned before, there's this sort of like wider sort of internet community Backrooms that's got like other stuff going on that's not exactly the same as here, but like that again, that increases audience size. I certainly think having an actor like Chiwetel Ejiofor in here too. I mean, people I think generally like him. He seems, I don't know if he's the most famous A-lister in the world, but I feel like he's one of those people that come up, and I feel like most people I know are gonna see him and get excited. Like he's consistently pretty great in things. And I think all of that just, and then just the fact that it does look different. I mean, for Christ's sake, it's a modern film, and it's really brightly lit at all times, and you can always see what's happening. That's novel in and of itself. But yeah, I mean, and also like, you know, comparing it to what else is out right now too. You talk about these two horror movies doing really well. I think I think nothing says it better than the fact that they're both kind of crushing the Mandalorian and Grogu at the box office right now. And, like, you know, that particular Star Wars movie, I think, is just really emblematic of the type of studio big budget Hollywood film that people are kind of exhausted by, of like, oh, it's a franchise that has been around forever and it's doing the same 5 things I've seen 800 times from this series. And here's just something that just feels original. It feels different. Like I said, I think we're getting to a point now where people, I mean, you know, we're all in our 30s and we all grew up playing video games, and so people that are sort of the mainstream adult audience now is going to appreciate, like I mentioned before, something that has sort of a maybe video game influence to it as well. Maybe not an obvious one, like if you aren't familiar, you're not going to pick up on these things, but it's there, whether it's in a subtle, more subconscious way or not. And you're getting to see a new approach to creating stories that we need, that fresh blood. And I think, you know, over the last however many years, it's become a little, you know, tiring at times with some of the big franchises, and sort of just becoming uninteresting and repetitive. And I think horror in general this decade, like since I'd say 2020, almost every year, like my top 5 horror films or top 5 films, it's like been like mostly horror. And it just as a genre is, I think, a bastion of creativity in a industry where creativity is not always rewarded by the studio system anymore.
So you think with this new crop, you got Kane Parsons, you got Curry Burker, you got Philippou Brothers, you got Markiplier, all these guys. You think what is this kind of like? It feels like what the '90s when you had Kevin Smith and you had the Wiskowskis and you had Tarantino. A lot of those guys kind of coming out there.
Yeah, I think there's absolutely an aspect of that. And to go even further, I mean, you know, Zach Kreger, you know, like you know, somebody like him who, you know, had sort of some experience in a larger industry and filming and being on TV and stuff, and yet still, like, as a fresh approach with just creative ideas, is able to just make this big splash like really quickly, just because horror is a place where the budgets are low and chances can be taken, and you can just try these ideas that other genres might have this built-in expectation of playing it safe because we're going to put a lot of money into this, so like you got to make sure to check these boxes and appeal to this type of audience in this way. And horror just, it always has, I think, escaped from that expectation for the most part, but I think lately especially we're just in sort of a golden age where, you know, it just is able to achieve so much. I mean, you're not only getting, you know,
I think your mic sounds loose there. You know, it's like like this.
Me?
No, Ulysses, like your mic sounds like, I don't know if like your wire's not all the way in, like your thing's not all the way in or something like that, maybe.
No, it's all the way in.
Okay, I'm hearing like some feedback or something.
Weird.
Going on.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's up with that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying there.
No. I was just I pretty much finished my thought, but just like horror is just, I think, a landscape, especially right now, that just it allows a lot of freedom, a lot of creativity, a lot of risk taking. And it's kind of where most of my favorite movies are coming out for the last, I'd say, 6 years now.
Okay. Shelby Oaks, you love Shelby Oaks too?
Didn't see it.
Okay.
And, like, as far as the YouTuber into horror trend goes, I haven't enjoyed every single thing I've seen from that. I mean, I haven't seen
Iron Lung.
Iron Lung either, and I might really enjoy that as well. But just horror as a broader thing, and just people just doing interesting things with it, it's really a landmark time.
What about you, Ulysses? What do you think there? Have you seen a lot of these movies like Obsession and?
I have not seen any of those. This is sort of my first entry into this sort of new crop of horror movies that's coming out, and I like it. I'm kind of interested in seeing more of this stuff. Maybe I'll even check out Iron Lung. I never really cared that much about Markiplier, but I'll take it if it's, in the same sort of vein as this was, because this has been a very sort of refreshing theater experience.
Okay. Well, I don't want Markiplier fans on me. I love Markiplier. Good guy. Awesome, man. Go see Iron Lung twice, man. Yeah, man. It's an exciting time, man. I like all these movies coming out, fresh voices there. Even in these kind of horror movies, there even takes on things that have been done a million times before, but they still find a fresh voice. I know you didn't like it, but talk to me.
I liked their second movie. I thought that was good.
Yeah, Bring Her Back. Bring Her Back was very good, which was on my list of favorite movies of that year when it came out. I think the movie came out last year, I think. Last year.
I think so.
Yeah. So still find ways to be really fresh there. And the talent they're getting for these movies is also really great. Good veteran actors there, really good. You know what I mean? They're not just getting influencers there or somebody like that to come and do this. Like in this movie, you got Chiwetel Ejiofor there, who's a good veteran actor. He's been in many things before, and he works really well here. Even without all the psychological kind of horror stuff, I would have just loved to see a whole movie with just him and that therapist. They'll seem pretty good there. Especially the role play thing when that was happening there, his ass was getting real mad. Man, all those real emotions came out. I thought that was really good and really worked very well.
I really liked that they were kind of willing to let him be unlikable too, because I feel like, again, if it was a more traditional genre or studio film, there'd be an apprehensiveness about letting your main character be kind of a dickbag sometimes, and like right in the first scene, not that you can't justify feeling frustrated in the scenario he's in, but I think right away you get a sense of him being kind of the cause of his own problems to a degree.
Yeah, because he's going through a lot. His business is failing. And I guess when he does sell people shit, they don't like it, and they go like, "This shit's a fucking ripoff," and they graffiti his door there, his window.
And he doesn't even want to be working there in the first place.
Yeah, it's like a job he's stuck in. It's not his real career. He has all this like high-minded dreams of being an architect, and it's all just kind of left in the dust.
That commercial for his store where he's in the pirate costume and everything at the very beginning, it's almost like that is his nightmare.
Yeah.
And he's sleeping in the furniture store because he got kicked out of his home. So you kind of got that there as well. But yeah, when he films that commercial, that shit is like sad as hell. And then it's like they're doing it. He's trying to like do a gimmick because his thing is like it's Captain Clark's furniture stores.
Ottoman Empire, which I also really like how the boyfriend.
It's a pun, yeah.
Well, the fact that the boyfriend is like, "Sorry, are you a pirate or a sultan? Like, we should kind of figure that out."
Yeah. So that was like really good. Yeah. Man.
Like when he was getting mad at the rival furniture store commercial, where there was like a cowboy on the TV.
Yeah, it was like
there's a lot of comedy in this, and I think that adds a lot to it. And the comedy doesn't really stop even later in the film when you kind of get more of the big horror moments. There's still parts that maybe like laugh out loud in the theater.
Some of the funniest things I think are at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, you get to see what happened next. I was always kind of looking forward to that. And to me, even with the ambiguity, it didn't really disappoint me really with it. I still really enjoyed it there. Yeah. And this movie's doing really well there. So I think this movie had a budget of, let me pull it up there.
20 million?
That's reportedly, I think, what the budget was. 10 million. 10 million to 10 million. Right now, I think the current box office for it is over 100 million, if I'm not mistaken. Let me make sure with that. So domestically, so it's 81.4 million domestically and 117.9 million worldwide. So
it's the it's in the top 5 for me, like opening weekends for horror films ever. It's the number 1 opening weekend for an A24 movie ever, and it is the youngest director to ever have a number 1 film at the box office.
Yeah. And this is what is basically saying all the things you said. According to Deadline, Backrooms has resonated with the younger audience and grossed 81.4 million domestically across its 3-day opening weekend. That is the highest performing opening weekend ever for a movie made by A24. It makes a 20-year-old director, Kane, the youngest director ever have a number 1 movie at the box office. Wow. It's truly impressive that Backrooms had an even better opening weekend than the projects like Hail Mary, than likes of Project Hail Mary and Devil Wears Prada 2, both of which
I'm not
considered.
surprised it did better than The Devil Wears Prada 2.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. Devil Wears Prada 2 killing it. It's made
Is
over
it?
like, yeah, it's made over like 600 million or something like that.
Oh,
Like
huh.
it's made a lot of money. Yeah, people love that Devil Wears
Interesting.
Prada. 642 million. So it made a lot
All
of
right, well,
money.
that's actually more surprising to me than anything else.
Yeah. So Sage, what will be your final thoughts rating for Backrooms?
Man, I kind of got sucked down the rabbit hole for this. I had never watched any of the shorts until the first trailer for the movie came out, and I was so intrigued and grabbed by that trailer that it made me kind of, like I said, jump down the rabbit hole, check out all the shorts. I watched all of them. I convinced basically like my entire friend group to watch all of them with me as well, and then we it wasn't even just me and Ulysses. We had a couple other people with us. We went and saw it as like a whole group kind of on premiere night, and we all ended up really liking it. I would go as far as to say I kind of loved this movie. Now I don't see that many movies in the theater, recently. Like I haven't been to the theater that many times so far this year, so keep that in mind when I say this. But it is my favorite movie I have seen so far this year. Yeah, I was struggling. Like even at work today, I was like thinking in the back of my head while I was doing other things, like, is there anything I disliked? Like, can I find something to sort of complain about? And just the more I thought about it, the more I realized I really couldn't. There's even been a few things I've heard other people say where I think certain things about the final act maybe they thought were like unintentionally funny, whereas personally I think all that stuff is very intentionally funny. I think it's playing on humor on purpose, so that stuff's all working for me. Effects wise, I think what's going on in the third act I think really works, and there's like this intentional uncanny element to it that I think just makes what's going on more effective. um I've been debating about whether I'd go peak or This Is Cinema kind of all day, just because I think I'm gonna go with This Is Cinema. I really liked this, like more even than I was expecting to, and that was after really enjoying the shorts already.
Wow. Okay. What about you, Ulysses?
I would also have to give it a This Is Cinema. I mean, it was just
Wow.
a mesmerizing movie to watch. There's always something interesting at play. It's very creative. You don't know necessarily where it's going to be going the whole way through. I love like a lot of even those smaller elements, like the cinematography was just masterfully done. I think the character arcs were really like well thought out and like memorable. Like the movie even manages to have like some pretty interesting and deep like symbolism towards the end. Like this is a very clever movie in a lot of ways, and I really enjoyed seeing something this fresh on the big screen. Like I'm not sure how many other movies this year are going to impress me on the same level. And there's good stuff coming out this year. I just don't know if they'll be able to top this for just that raw sort of exciting experience.
We still got Avengers Doomsday. That's cool. I know you're pumped about that. So you got that coming this year. Yeah.
Something tells me it won't will not outperform this.
Yeah, this was a great time, man. Great performances there. Great use of, like I said, themes in this. The reveal, and it's a movie also you could do another movie of it with a completely new cast, like or maybe make it like an anthology kind of thing there of just seeing the world of playing around in this, which kind of really works there. And yeah, just to see kind of more of it there with it. But yeah, absolutely, this was really terrific there. And I didn't have any experience with the web series. I know you played at Disco. I came in kind of late and saw some of it there. But I don't have any real. I didn't have any real knowledge of the web series or the video game or anything like that. It just kind of looked kind of weird. I was like, oh, this looks kind of somewhat kind of interesting there, and checked it out. And yeah, it's really well done and really great. So absolutely, check out Backrooms in theaters now. I give it a peek there with that. So very awesome.
I would
Yeah.
definitely recommend, just because you did like it, especially maybe going back and watching the shorts then after the fact, which could even make them more interesting to watch in a certain way. It does a lot of world building and developing with like the company. And then, did you want to talk spoilers after the ratings? I wasn't sure.
Um, I'll say because Nick, I'll let Nick
Gotcha.
do because Nick, I'll let him review it there,
Cool.
Wednesday. So yeah. So that was our thoughts there on Backrooms there.